All right, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So that topic that we're up to in Heschel's work it's called Yedi'ah Ubechira, knowledge and choice, about free will. It's really interesting that this topic is the next one because this entire Shabbat, this was the topic of debate on my Friday night table, arguing with my kids about free will. There's an ancient debate about this, and takes different forms over time, in medieval times too, but in modern times, you have a lot of people writing about this, like Sam Harris and others, and a lot of our youth are reading this and being influenced by it to say that there is no free will, based mostly on biological reductionism, that we are, a human being is simply a pack of neurons, and therefore everything we do is predictable if you could figure out how the brain works, and they assume they can. So I was arguing with my kids about this, and I think it's a problematic view. I think it comes from maybe a desire to lessen the meaningfulness of life, of human choice. And I think it goes against all of our intuition. I think we all have a basic intuition that we choose the things that that we decide, and maybe not every choice we make during the day, maybe only a few, maybe only very few choices. But if we do take the time and think consciously about something, we certainly have a feeling like we can choose something.
Right. None of the things you said so far make David wrong. So,
all right. Well, I'm not going to get into all the.
What you said basically shows two things. One is that it's, you are convinced that you have free will. The other thing is that it would be nice if we had free will. And the other is that it would be bad if everyone realized they don't have free will. So.
Right. My main argument is that I don't think we understand how the brain works and how consciousness works and how life works nearly sufficiently to say anything reductionist like that. It's a complete mystery. And therefore, since you can't explain consciousness, there's no reason to assume that we know anything about how free will works either.
But even further, we thought that we knew how physics works. We had the whole Newtonian, everything perfectly down. We could predict to an atom when what will happen. And then suddenly we discovered that's all wrong, thanks to the quantum mechanics.
Right. Okay, good. So there's a lot to say in the modern context, and maybe we'll get back to it. But now let's look at how it plays out in 2,000 years ago and more. And so we'll start here at the top. Lefi da'ato shel Yosifos nechleku ha'isiyim v'sadokim v'perushim b'shelat ha'chira v'gezerah ha'elyona. So, okay, according to Josephus, and it's just one little paragraph in Josephus, so it's worth looking at. I have it for you here. Josephus tells us that that there were various sects in the time of the second Bet HaMikdash, and the Pharisees, they say that some actions, but not all, are the works of fate, and some are in our power, and that they are liable to fate, but are not caused by fate. So in other words, the Pharisees, which is our predecessors, they say some things are decided, predetermined, some things are in our hands. In other places, Josephus describes more, but it has to do with more moral choices. Those are our choices, but other things are out of our hands. That's the Pharisees, which is similar to the rabbis. Well, we'll see. Essenes say that fate governs all things, which is kind of like in Greek mythology, you have the fates we mentioned one time. Befalls according to predetermination. So according to them, according to the Essenes, the Dead Sea sect, you're either born under the sons of light or the sons of darkness. So you're born good or evil, and you can't change it during your lifetime. That Essene belief made its way into Christianity, and you have Calvinism and other groups that also believe that. The Sadducees, they take away fate and providence and altogether, and they say what we do is completely in our hands, and nothing controls it from above. So you have the extremes. Sadducees say no control at all from above. Essenes say everything is predetermined, and the Pharisees in the middle that say some things yes, some things no. And it's that middle ground that we're going to explore much more. And this controversy did not stop. At the end of the second Bet HaMikdash, it continued to the Tanaim, and Rabbi Akiva madgish hakol safui, kol maaseh bnei adam, ma she'asa, ma she'atir la'asot, galui lefanav. Okay, this is a very famous statement in Pirkei Avot, and again, worth looking inside. Everybody's studying Pirkei Avot nowadays. Okay, and here it is. Pirkei Avot Gimel Tetvav says like this: hakol safui. Don't look at the translation. I'll hide it. V'hareshut netuna u'betub ha'olam nidon v'hakol lefi rov ma'aseh. Okay, hakol safui can mean that everything is foreseen, and that's the way Heschel just quoted it. God foresees everything in the future and knows everything that's going to happen, which would suggest that everything is predetermined because God already knows what's going to happen. It's kind of like when you're watching a movie and the movie's already there. It's on the disc. So whatever is going to happen is going to happen. The writer knows what's going to happen. You just didn't see it yet. But free will is given. And so you have a paradox. Although God knows everything, still free will is given. And so this is a nice aphorism that Rabbi Akiva says. And don't think that God's foreknowledge precludes your freedom. And God will judge everything for good, according to the majority of one's deeds. But actually, this Mishnah is not really clear what it means. Rashi here says, God not foresees, but rather sees everything. What you do in privacy of your own room within a room, God is there. God knows, right? God sees everything, not talking about the future. And so, in that sense, it means God sees everything, but you have will. If it meant that, you might want to actually switch them. You have freedom to do everything, but remember that God sees everything. So that's Rashi. Rambam takes it the more philosophical way that we just said, that God foresees everything, but Rambam says, don't think that means that everything's predetermined, because God's knowledge is completely different from our knowledge. We use the same word to know, but it's actually categorically different, and therefore we have no idea what that actually means. And so that's how he resolves the question. Okay, so I'm just pointing out here that you could read this statement it's authored by Rabbi Akiva in many ways, but let's assume it does mean that everything is foreseen. But the point of the statement, and according to this, is don't think that just because God knows everything, even in the future, that takes away your will. No, it's up to you to be good or bad. This statement has both putting down and picking up. This is a phrase he's borrowing from Hilchot Shabbat. In order to violate transferring something from one issue to another, you have to both pick it up and transfer it. So Rabbi Akiva is doing two things at once. Paradoxally, right? He's saying a paradox. And this is the way he would often teach. He would teach things in an enigmatic way, in a paradoxical way. He didn't mind grabbing on to two poles of an opposite and teaching them that way, because his thought was complex, and that relates to his mystical side. Rabbi Ishmael, שנטה לפשטות המחשבה, וזרע איתה לרוח משנתו כל אמת מורכבת, אין הטעם עושה בדבריו את רעיון הבחירה, אלא רק את הרעיון שהדברים ספויים ונגזרים מששת ימי בראשית. Rabbi Ishmael had a different style altogether. He said, simple is better, and he didn't want this, complex types of teachings. And so you don't find in his teaching the idea that choice is emphasized, but rather everything is safui, foreseen from the 6 days of creation. According to Heschel, he thinks that Rabbi Ishmael emphasizes predetermination.
What's how to shoot the tuna, according to him?
He doesn't say that. That the statement is said by Rabbi
Oh, Rabbi
Akiva.
Akiva, of course.
Rabbi
Right.
Akiva, he's the author,
Right.
which actually proves, he's emphasizing that. Then there must be someone else that disagrees. Okay, let's see his statement of Rabbi Ishmael and see if it really fits. Remember we said a few weeks ago, he compares the world to a water wheel. Sometimes people go up, sometimes people go down, sometimes they're rich, sometimes they're poor, and everything is a cycle. Right? It's not necessarily because he deserves it or doesn't deserve it. This is just the way of the world. And God, which sounds a little bit more random than predetermined. And goralo shel adam birshuto is adam. It's not in his hands, but rather an ancient decree. Tana de Ishmael, ki tibne bayit chadash, v'asita ma'akel legagecha, ve'lo tasim damim bebetecha, ki yipol hanofel mimenu. Quoting a simple pasuk, it seems to be a simple law. And when you build a new house and you have a roof, make sure to build a parapet, a fence around your roof, and don't put blood in your house. Don't be responsible for someone falling off, ki yipol hanofel, that the faller will fall from it. So it's interesting that it calls him the faller. It could have said ki yipol ish, a person will fall. But from the fact that it says the faller will fall, so it suggests, according to this midrash, that he was meant to already fall. It was destined that he would fall already. This comes from Masechet Shabbat. We can look at it in context to appreciate it better. It says here, you should always pray not to get sick, right? Don't wait till you get sick and then pray to get better. Pray to not get sick in the first place. Why? Because if you get sick, then you're going to have to pay to get better with merits, and you don't want to lose out on your merits. What's the proof? Emphasizing the word mimenu, when the person falls, not literally off the roof, this is a metaphoric explanation. When a person falls into sickness, then mimenu, he's going to have to bring the evidence that he's deserving to get better, and therefore he's going to have to use up his merits. This is kind of like, when you check your credit goes down. So the same idea. Tana, and here's where it says, Tana debe Ishmael, ki yipol hanofel mimenu ra'ui zeh mimenu, right? This person had already been decreed. It was already decided that he would fall from the time of creation, right? From the creation, it says that thousands of years from now, this person is going to go up to the roof and he's going to fall. Because he didn't fall yet, still the pasuk calls him the faller. But rather, the point is, since he was going to fall off one roof or another, but it shouldn't be yours. So therefore, put a fence, because otherwise you're going to be liable for it. You're liable, even though it would have happened no matter what. Okay, good. So that's all from the school of Rabbi Akiva. Go back here.
How are you translating this word ra'ui?
It was befitting for him.
Yeah.
It's a befitting. He deserving. But how can you say deserving? If it's from the 6 days of creation, right? Deserving does sound like he did something bad to deserve it. But well, maybe he did something bad, but even that was known from 6 days of creation.
Yeah.
So that's the idea. Okay. באמת מדרשו של רבי ישמעאל, אתה מוסר שאת יסוד הדרשה בעניין ההורג בשוגג. This is the famous thing we all learned in school about someone who kills by mistake. שעליו כתוב, אשר לא סדה ואלוהים עינה לידו. This is a pasuk that says if a person, I'll bring up the pasuk for you. If a person did not do sada, like he didn't, this is to hunt. He wasn't hunting. He wasn't premeditated, looking to murder someone. Rather, it just happened by mistake. He's hammering something in. The hammer falls down on someone. Elohim inna liyado. But doesn't look how the pasuk says it was a mistake. It says it came out by an act of God. God pushed his hand. that person goes into exile. This really is a very interesting pasuk. He didn't do it himself on purpose, but God made it happen. Okay, I guess in the pshat it's saying, if you didn't do it on your own, then saying passively it happened is the same thing as saying, God makes it happen. But Rabbi Ishmael is emphasizing God's hand in pushing it forth. That it was not in your hand. It is not in your hand, but it is predetermined or providential. God brought it about that this person will be an inadvertent murderer. Why should that happen to him? This is when David and Shaul going back and forth, and David goes to Shaul and cuts off a piece of his garment and say, "Look, I could have killed you, right? But I saved you." And he says, "Listen, I will never be the one to raise my hand and kill you, Shaul," right? And he says, because there's an old adage that says, "From evil people comes evil." And David says, "I am not evil. I'm not going to be the one to shed blood." Okay. And so the point here is, Mashal Kadmoni hiya Torah. We're understanding now that the Mashal Kadmoni is not simply an ancient folk adage, but rather the Torah itself teaches this, where Shi Mashal Kadosh Baruch Hu Shehu Kadmono Shel Olam. God is the great elder. Ve'echan amrat Torah ve'reshaim yetzer resha Elohim ina liyado. Where do we learn that evil things come from evil people? From this very pasuk, that God brought it about that this person should kill inadvertently and therefore have to go into exile. What is this case talking about? Two people. One person killed someone by mistake. One person killed someone on purpose. But there were no witnesses in either case. So both went scot-free and are walking around. And so you'll say, well, there's no justice there. No, but God will bring about justice. So God brings them both to a place, to a motel together. And the one that killed on purpose, he's going to be sitting under the ladder. And the person who killed by mistake, he's on top of the ladder. And he will fall or drop something. And then now there are witnesses, and the person who killed on purpose, he has something fall on him and he gets killed. That's his punishment for being a murderer. And the person who killed once by mistake without witnesses, this time there are witnesses, and now he will go into exile for that.
That's Rabbi Akiva.
Right. So according to this, everything that happens, you see a car accident, someone trips, whatever, everything has a reason. Everything is preordained.
Preordained or reward and punishment?
Yes, this is a system of reward. Well,
so that's not preordained. Reward and punishment is not preordained as we think of it.
Right. So everything is controlled, and the fact that he says Misheshet Yemei Bereshit from the 6 days of creation, I guess you could say he's just giving an exaggeration. He's saying this is going to happen from a long time ago. But if we take that literally, even the fact that he did something evil, that he needs to be punished for it, and all that, then is already that's where the preordained is, in that saying, in that adding those words from 6 days of creation.
It feels like wisdom literature, this whole story that you concocted just a minute ago.
Yeah, right. That everything there's a careful balance. Everything in the world, right? The bad comes to the evil person, good comes to the good person, and nothing happens without careful calculation.
Was it who said who called God the divine travel agent?
Oh yeah, right. That's very good. Right, the person that missed the flight, and other people are on the flight. Make sure. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of coordination to get all the guilty people on that flight that's going to crash. Okay. כיוצא בזה, תנא דבר רבי ישמעאל, ראויה הייתה לדוד בת 7, בת אליעם, בששת ימי בראשית, in one version. אלא שאכלה פגע. It says, really, David was deserving to have Bathsheba as a wife. But he did it too early. Pagah, he ate an unripe fruit. He should have waited a bit, and then the fruit would have been ripe. In other words, Uriah something would have happened to him on its own. He would have died in the battle in the normal circumstances, the normal course of the battle, and then he would have been able to marry Bathsheba legally, except he jumped the gun and he did it too early. And so you see that, everything that happened was going to happen anyway. It's just a matter of, how exactly it comes about. These we were used in later generations also to show that things are preordained. And he's referring here to Rambam in Moreh Nevuchim in 320 when he has a discussion about this. And he does quote the roof, unless you die in battle, another taker. The fact that the laws were given to man, both the affirmative and negative, supports the principle that God's knowledge of the future possible events does not change their character. The great doubt. So he's quoting this as a possible, as a question about this seems to be like it would have happened anyway. Then he answers it the way we mentioned before. Okay, we won't get into that now. All right, back to this. Oto malach hamemuna lehedayon laila shemo venotel tipa ma'amida lefnei hakadosh baruch hu v'omer lefanav ribono shel olam tipa zo ma te'aleha gibor o chalash chacham o ashir o ani ve'ilu rasha o sadik lo ka'amad. Okay, this it's not said by Rabbi Akiva, but he's attributing it to the school. It fits within the idea of the school of Rabbi Akiva, that before a person is born, an angel comes and says, this seed, what will it become? What is its future? Will it be strong or weak? That's predetermined from the time of birth. It's true. I mean, this is a genetic thing. Will it be smart or stupid, rich or poor? Well, I mean, intelligence is dependent somewhat on genetics. Rich or poor is more like where you were born and what family. But whether a person was good or bad is not brought up before a person is born. That is up to a person to decide whether they are going to choose to do good or to do evil. So this fits with the idea that there is not total free will in everything. You can't decide to be strong, but moral free will. However, bebet midrasho shel Rabbi Ishmael savru kanireh shadam mushba ve'omed miyom ledato liyot sadik. It seems that another version of this, attributed to Rabbi Ishmael, says a person is forsworn to be good or bad. And this is from a Talmud in Nida, and I'd rather look at it in the original. Okay, here, Mahi HaShivuah. This goes after a long section about what happens before a person is born. You know the famous midrash that a fetus learns all Torah, right? And then the angel slaps him and says and he forgets it. Okay, that's from this Talmud, and it comes right before this. Okay, and so by the way, Plato says the same thing, that babies know everything, and then when they're born they forget everything. Because he says, how could you ever learn something new if you didn't know it before? It must be it's in there innately, and you're just now remembering. Whenever you learn something, you're actually remembering it. Okay, but here's the main point. What is the shivuah that mishmashbi'in oto, that the angel before it's born makes it swear. Ti sadik v'al ti rasha. It makes it swear you're going to be a sadik and not evil. Even if everyone tells you that you are righteous, don't be self-righteous, right? Assume that you are not good, and that way you'll do better. Know that God is pure. Your soul is pure. Keep it pure, then you'll be okay. If not, if you soil it, then God will take it away from you. That's all said anonymously. But the next part, and that the to be Ishmael. Mashal lechohen shemasar tiruma le'am haaretz. V'amar lo im ata meshameraha b'tahora mutav im lav hareni sorfa lefanecha. Tiruma, the present that we give to the kohen, has to be in purity. And so a kohen gives it to an am haaretz. Am haaretz is someone who's not careful about the laws of purity. He says, listen, can you wash this for me? And he says, if you hold on to it, and it's pure, that's good. But if you're not careful and it becomes tameh, then you have to burn it because it can't be eaten. And so that's the mashal to this. Okay, so what's his point? Well, this he's assuming that the part before also to be Ishmael, that the angel makes a swear that eventually that baby will be good or evil. Now, this doesn't exactly say what he says it says. Well, we're actually making the baby swear that I'm taking upon myself, the baby says, that I will be good. But he still has a choice to go against the swear, right? All right, but no kid is swearing. The angel's not swearing that any kid's going to be evil. Okay, so I don't think this is actually a very good proof, but let's see how he interprets it. Mashal Kohen, right, and he quotes the same thing. All right, so but it is somewhat, maybe not absolute predetermined, but a kind of tendency, a push at the person's birth, what they should be. Rabbi Akiva hora שנתן הקדוש ברוך הוא לאדם הראשון שני דרכים, דרך חיים ודרך מוות, ובחר הוא לא דרך המוות. According to Rabbi Akiva, everybody has an equal share. You can choose this way or that way, and here Adam Rishon chose the bad way. כנגד זה תנא דבר ישמעאל, אין אדם מקנא לאשתו, אלא אם כן נכנסה בו רוח טומאה ממרום, שנאמר ועבד עליו רוח קנאה. According to Ishmael, it's not equal playing field. You're not equally good or bad. And he learns it from Sotah, that a person will suspect his wife of doing something bad. That doesn't happen unless an evil spirit went into him, right? So in other words, when someone does something bad, there's a force from outside that's pushing him to do that. No one does anything evil on their own. It's an outside force that makes him lose his temporarily lose his right thinking, and he makes and causes him to make a bad decision. I think this fits with a lot of Greek philosophy. Even Plato says that if someone is highly intelligent and knows philosophy, he will automatically be good because he knows what's good, and so he'll be internalize that. And only a stupid person can do something bad, right? Okay, interesting, right? Theory, but sometimes we do find smart people that do stupid things, right? But that's his idea. So I think the proof before was not so good, but this one is a lot stronger. These statements that say person themselves are good, it's an outside force causing them to do something bad. Rabbi Akiva Omer, betuv ha'olam nidon. That's back in the Mishnah Pirkei Avot. He says everything the world is judged for good. But other sages say it's a decree, divine decree, which makes it sound like it's preordained. When Moshe in the beginning of Devarim says, Moshe says, at Har Sinai, God was talking to them directly. And then they said, no, we can't handle it. And then Hashem says, I wish that they would have that fear of heaven all of their lives to say, we need an intermediary, we can't handle it. That awe is a good thing. So this Rabbi Ishmael says, if it were possible to remove Malach HaMavet, to remove death from the world, I would have done it, God says. But what can I do? I already made a decree. And that's very interesting language. God himself is saying that he is bound by his own decree, right? He already set forth that there would be death in the world, and that's it. That's the way it is. He can't take it back. So here you see, right, that sense of predeterminism, even divine predeterminism. ראה שכנגד זה הורה רבי יהודה, תלמידו של רבי עקיבא, במכתב, מכתב אלוהים הוא חרוט על הלוחות. The writing on the luchot was God's writing. אל תקרא חרוט אלא חירות. Don't read it engraved, but rather חירות, freedom. Freedom, חירות ממלאך המוות. כלומר, בשעה שעמדו ישראל לפני הר סיני, ואמרו נעשה ונשמע, באותה שעה קרא הקדוש ברוך הוא מלאך המוות ואמר לו, אין לך עסק באומה זו. Cherut, don't read it as engraved, but rather freedom. When the people, when Bnei Israel Har Sinai said, "Naaseh v'nishma," we're going to accept the Torah, God said to the angel of death, leave them alone. My people, Bnei Israel, are free from your control. That their attachment to the Berit, that will give them the ability to overcome death, whether now or in Tchiat HaMetim, right? And so this is all to be Ishmael. And look how, right, this is what Heschel does so well, is he'll take, right, the same concept and then compare the two. In the school of the Ishmael, God says, you know what, you guys are so good, I wish I could remove death from you, but I can't. It's predetermined, it's just a part of the moral fabric of the universe as I created it, and now that's created that way. It cannot be changed. Even if you're very good, this is the way it is. Rabbi Akiva says, God can take the angel of death and says, no, you have no control over my people. So it can change. בדרך זו אמר ריש לקיש, מה דכתיב אם ללצים הוא יליץ ולענבים ייתן חן. So notice this pasuk from Mishlei Wisdom. For stupid people, God who yalitz, but for humble people, God will give grace. And one way of reading this is Bali taher misayin oto, Bali tameh potchin lo. Right? If someone comes and wants to do foolish things, then okay, God will help him out to do. He says, go ahead, go do foolish things. But if someone wants to be humble, wants to be righteous, then God will help him out. Right? It's like power steering. You want to go this way, then and God will add to you, add to it, and give you the permission, and even give you the push to do so. But it sounds like, see, it's not even. The power steering to the right is a little different from the left. If someone is going to do good, then we help him out. If tameh, God's not going to prevent it, but potchin lo, leave it open. It's up to you. So that's all fits with Rabbi Akiva, that you have choice. Tana debe Rabbi Ishmael, mashal le'adam sheya mocher neft va'afarsimon. It gives a parable. Person who sells naphtha, which doesn't smell good, and afarsimon, persimmon, which smells beautiful. Balokeach limdod neft, ibnei shamar lo mocher medod atal atzmecha. As a buyer comes and he's going to buy the neft and it smells bad, so the store owner says, you go over there and measure it on your own. I don't want to be near it. But when another buyer comes and buys the persimmon, the seller says, come, let's measure it together, because he wants to join in and gather the smell. This comes from a Talmud in Yoma, which I have here. You can see it inside.
Meaning what?
Yeah. So meaning that God is going to help out in a person doing good, but not in someone doing bad. Rabbi Yosef higbil et midat habechira. Yeah, I mean that this statement is by Rabbi Ishmael, and it does make it sound like a person does have the initial free will. So I don't think we can say that Rabbi Ishmael consistently speaks against free will. He certainly does have it, does allow for it, but does not emphasize it as much as the statements of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Yosef gbilat midat habechira chofshit vehora. Tzadikim notel mehem HaKadosh Baruch Hu yetzer hara v'noten lahem yetzer hatov. Reshaim notel mehem yetzer tov v'noten lahem yetzer hara. Benonim noten lahem zeh bazeh. So right, this is a good example of limited free will. If someone is righteous and proves himself to be righteous over some amount of time, God will remove his yetzer hara and give him only yetzer hatov. In other words, when you start down a path from when you're young, where you get used to making good decisions, then it becomes a lot easier. You don't have to struggle through it as much, and then you don't have to struggle through the yetzer hara. So God takes it away. Whereas an evil person, once you start with, or a neutral person, once he starts doing evil, then that becomes his habit, and the Yetzer Tov is removed from him as only Yetzer Hara, right? Which I think is a true psychological statement. And so maybe there is some initial free will, but it's not. But it quickly evaporates and becomes almost predetermined.
Yeah, but Rabbi, as a human being, the result or the consequence of that behavioral action gets reinforced. You're going to do evil if you don't see the consequence as being evil. If you see the consequence as working out for you as a human being with innate response to what's happening, you're going to go in that path. So it's a little tough to judge that. Same thing for good. If you see things working out for you in making good choices, you will continue in that path. No?
Right. Good. Yeah, absolutely. So I think even when it comes to good and evil, a lot of it is dependent on our upbringing, on our surroundings, and do we have good influences in our life, good role models, and maybe there's some of it is biological too. People have different urges and have different abilities to control them, and so a lot of that is also dependent on forces around us. And I think I guess your point is that it's not up to us to judge a person's situation, but within that realm, wherever they are, I think there are better choices and worse choices that the person can make, be able to overcome.
My point is when you make a choice, you look down the pike to see what the result and the consequence is. Mm-hmm. If you're making good choices and quote unquote Hashem is kind of making them, as into bad consequences, you're not going to make good choices. I mean, there has to be some kind of a partnership there. Is that power steering?
Right. Okay. If in business you make a decision that you're going to be honest and you're not going to do what some other people do, and your business is successful, so then that's going to encourage you to continue making the same decisions. But it could be right that you're the honest guy in the field, and you fail because of that, and then that becomes a lot harder to continue the keeping the moral high ground.
Rabbi,
yeah,
Olam keminhago noheg. Could that statement be consistent with Rabbi Akiva and or Rabbi Ishmael, or neither?
Yeah, I think it could be both, because that's about the consequence. I mean, there's two. One question is, do I have choice when I do something, and that would fit no matter what, right? Kiminhago noheg means what are the consequences going to be direct, automatic, or the nature takes its course for good and evil?
Well, let's say I pray. Somebody's sick, and I pray. Rabbi Akiva would say that's good because you're becoming better and you could influence. Maybe so does Rabbi Ishmael, but some people say, those prayers are not going to affect the results of the world, because they're different concepts, but they sort of affect each other. And there's not much difference between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Ishmael on this point, correct?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that in that example, they would both agree that one should pray, independent of whether the prayer has effect or not. I don't think anyone today, if you pray for someone to get better and they don't get better, do you say, oh, I wasted all that time praying? Nobody says that. I think that praying for someone is good in and of itself, whether it has a consequence or not.
Well, let's do it from the opposite side. So nobody wants to say prayer doesn't seem to affect the change. We don't want to say that, but in the case of a pandemic, Olam keminhago noheg, I should accept the concept of Hashem protects me if I do good, if I pray, if I do mitzvot, or Olam keminhago noheg. It doesn't matter that you're going for minyan, doing mitzvot, Rabbi Ishmael versus Rabbi Akiva on that side. The prayer one is too easy to say everybody believes in prayer.
Right. Well, I think our actions make a tremendous effect on what happens in the world, and so you have to figure out which actions. So taking the steps to prevent the spread of the disease, those are moral choices, and therefore mitzvot, and it very much affects what the outcome will be.
Well, no, Olam Hag says it doesn't matter. Morally, it doesn't matter. Obviously, if there's a tornado and you go into a shelter, it matters. But morally, right?
So same thing here. If everybody gathers at a funeral and you have 1,000 people there, well, it's not. You don't say Olam Kimin Hagonoheg. You had that decision. Those actions are going to cause a bigger spread, because more people to get sick.
It's like not going into it's sort of like not going into the underground bunker when the tornado comes.
Right.
The tornado's there. They don't see it, but the tornado's there.
Right.
It's the opposite. It looks like it's a non-action, but it is. It's a non-action, not an action.
Right.
Tornado is the tornado. You're looking at the result of the tornado and whether you died as being predetermined. But I would argue that it goes further to whether or not a tornado occurred, whether or not a virus started, not just the responses and the ramifications of that virus.
No, it's the virus is just a harder tornado to see, but it's there. It's a real tornado.
No, I know it's there. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that when somebody argues if it's predetermined, it's the fact that the virus even exists that was predetermined, not merely whether you decide in response to that to go and aggregate and spread it even further. That's the second step, not the first step.
Uh-huh.
But wouldn't Harambam's whole approach be just what you're saying now? If you follow the sensible way.
We have one more paragraph. Let me finish, and then I can take this off the screen and we'll do discussion. Okay. בברית השנו אמר להן משה, כפויה טובה בני כפויה טובה, בשעה שאמר לקדוש ברוך הוא, מי ייתן והיה לבם זה, כל העמים ההם לומר, תן אתה. Amazing baraita that when Bnei Israel said, when Hashem said, I wish that their hearts would be this fearful and have so much awe at Har Sinai when they said that we're afraid, the people should have said, hey, yes, we agree. Please, God, give us a heart to always have fear of heaven. But they were ingrates, the children of ingrates. And although they said that, they didn't really want to have that Yirat Shamayim ingrained in them. They wanted to be able to do their own thing. So, that's a statement of free will, although limited free will, but in the realm of moral decisions, it's up to us. Another statement that King Hezekiah, his children, was already decreed that they would not have fear of heaven. And so I think it's important to bring all of these range of statements, that there are some, probably fewer, probably a minority opinion, that says things are predetermined. Some of them are about a punishment being predetermined, but some of them do indicate that even an outcome, even a decision, a moral decision, is itself predetermined, right? So the Essenes said that about everything all the time, and the rabbis have a few statements here and there that suggest something like that, and those fit in a little bit better with the school of Rabbi Ishmael. I think if we look carefully, we see even Rabbi Ishmael certainly does have free will, but things are more controlled, right? Rabbi Akiva is more expansive in his view of free will. I want to connect this with what we spoke about last week, which was their political views. If you remember, Rabbi Akiva is the one that says, let's go and make a rebellion, make a revolution against the Romans, right? Time. Mashiach is here, let's do it, right? I know that doesn't look very likely that we have a chance if you just count the numbers of soldiers, but don't worry about it. God will provide. Rabbi Ishmael is the one that says, let's be passive. The time is not here yet. We have to wait for a sign, wait for a miracle, and we just lay low under the Romans and live to see another day. So I think that's the connection. You see, the Rebbe Akiva is more active, and he assumes that our decisions, we have a lot of power to affect change, and therefore, right, we have the free will, and the outcome will really change based on what we do, and therefore go and fight the Romans. And the Ishmael is the more passive one. Wait till something happens. There is a time where it is decreed that the Romans will go away, and we don't have to do anything about it. It will happen on its own. And so I think that's the sensibility that underlies both of these topics. And so that's why these two topics he puts back to back. Okay, Dr. Shan, what were we going to say before?
I was just going to say that what Sammy was asking about the virus and all that. Harambam's whole approach to the mitzvot and hashkaha and sachar va'onish is a very realistic approach, a very natural approach. If you're careful, if you don't go in groups, et cetera, then you will be rewarded. Means if you use your head. And that's where he brings, his whole approach is based on that. He also wanted to ask.
He would define mitzvot as being that. So
right.
The greatest mitzvah you can do now is to take this to wear a mask.
I want to change the table.
What we know about astrology.
You can't use your head to get away from the 2004 tsunami to a certain extent. Well, that doesn't discriminate based on whether you stayed home and didn't spread a virus. That's a tidal wave that killed thousands of people.
Mm-hmm. I think that as technology develops, more and more things turn from natural evils to moral evils. Because we know how to build a home that can withstand an earthquake, and we know how to detect earthquake. We know areas that are more susceptible and not. If we really took the time, look, we all knew. Bill Gates knew. He wasn't the only one. Ask anyone, right, who was in the field. They knew that sooner or later there's going to be a virus, or there's going to be bacteria, super bacteria, that's going to take over. And they knew that one thing that we'll need is ventilators. The government knew this. They were trying to get more ventilators. They had a thing with bureaucracy. And so there's so much that we could have expected. We didn't know exactly when it was going to happen and exactly what type or where. But if we were more organized and had more foresight, then we could have done more to prevent this sickness from spreading the way it did already. So a lot of it is in our hands.
Right. Is there any Jewish opinion that believes in fatalism, literally? Everything's predetermined and you have no choice? There is no such person, is there?
Well, there was. A Dead Sea sect believed that.
But no, let's call that no mainstream. No accepted view in the Gemara.
So we just saw there are some views in the Gemara that say things like that. Yes.
Right. But since nothing in the last 10 centuries, or there have been?
Well, it depends what you think. When we say at the funeral it was this time, this is
no, those are just words.
Rabbeinu says so. Rabbeinu says for most people, it's totally astrological. It's totally predetermined. Gersonides, 1340 about.
Mars is right. There people say what day you're born, what month you're born.
Right. Talmud has it. Yeah. Hello. Astrology is very popular.
That's not rabbinical.
But I think we would all agree that a lot of things that happen we are not in our control. I think the key question is how about moral choices? Are those in our control or not? And
don't we have a bilateral covenant? How can you have a bilateral covenant without free will?
100%, right. So I think that's why it is so dangerous that when some of these modern skeptics or secularists deny free will, they are denying a moral order in the universe, and I think it's dangerous and also not intuitive.
Yeah, I think for sure we also have free will, and I think the consequences that are determined are like contingent on our previous free will decisions. So like if we made a free will choice to do something and we could have done better, then the the outcome won't, the outcome that's a result of that action will end up having a negative effect. It's determined, like that something negative would happen contingent on you do, like if a kid does something bad and his mom gets upset at him, right, that's contingent on his bad choice to do something. So, and it's determined, but only after the fact. Like, in a way.
Does the mom have a choice?
Yeah, she has a choice too. And then that'll make her kid come back and keep doing it again. So I think it's all contingent on the action, but then it's determined.
That's so important because, thinking about how to discipline as a parent, as a teacher, in a way that will actually change the, not just out of fear, but really change the mindset of the young person, so that they'll have the tools to think through and make a better decision on their own in the future. Is, that's really what parenting is all about, and teaching is all about. And it's really, we are responsible for our kids' actions and how they grow up. And kind of, we learn so many things in school. We learn history and chemistry or whatever, but then we all just become parents, but we never can take a course on what the best practices are. We copy the things that we see from our parents or what we watch on TV. And kind of our most important job in life of parenting is not something that we often think through carefully and study and self-reflect about before we jump into it. All right, so wishing you all a wonderful day, and I hope your day will be full of good decisions that you think through and make carefully with your free will. And
nothing matters.
Right, the decisions matter, the outcomes matter.
I can't.
And to the extent that things are predetermined, I hope that they've been predetermined for you to have a wonderful day.
Talk about it.
Like better.
We decided.